Hi, I'm Jess and today I'm going to do a book review of Satin Island, and this was one of the Man Booker books for last year, for 2015, and I did say I wanted to read some of the Man Booker books that year and I didn't get around to it, but this was the one that appealed to me most, and so I thought when 2017 came along and I had time more to read, I would start with this one, and I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed it, and it's not the type of thing I normally read, and it's definitely not the type of thing I normally read as quickly as I read this, but I really enjoyed it. And so it follows an anthropologist called Yu who wrote this paper that blew up a few years ago before the plot starts about clubbers, and so he got hired at this big company and now deals with clients and just does anthropology for clients. And it's told through just his ramblings, sort of, about things he's working on and things he notices in the world as he goes through his life. And you sort of see his life in the background to all these thoughts he's having. So there's a recurring thought he has about this parachutist that he sees in the paper. A parachutist is, his parachute doesn't work, and he dies, and then the police figure out that it was sabotage and that his parachute was tampered with, and he follows this story and tries to figure out where the murder took place and how you can prosecute it, and what happened as the police gradually temper off and lose any suspects, and he's still trying to figure out it all, even though he has no evidence or any links to the case at all. And you sort of see his life behind all these things that are going on. So there's also an oil spill, and he has things going on in his life, like he has this woman he's sleeping with that you don't really know a lot about. She crops up multiple times within the narrative, and he doesn't tell us anything about her until she tells him herself stuff about herself. His best friend that has, at the beginning of the novel, told him that he has cancer, and he just is very stoic and doesn't particularly deal with it. But then it's interesting because he is dealing with it through his work. He's just obviously putting himself into his work so that he doesn't have to deal with everything, and he really doesn't comment on his own life very much. He just goes through it, and he tells you point blank what happens. So he gives a speech, and the speech doesn't go very well, and people don't really like it, and you can tell he's obviously feeling like a failure because he had this one hit book and then nothing else is living up to that. And then on top of that, his boss has told him to write a great report, which is basically an essay sort of thing about anthropology in our time fully, which is obviously impossible to write. You cannot write an essay like that, and yet he is trying to do that impossible task and figuring out whether his boss was being overly serious when he said that. There are a lot of things that aren't explicitly told and aren't shown and that you don't understand, but it was really interesting to read, and that's really all I can say about it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed his musings on life, but I didn't really have much of a plot. If you're looking for a character that grows, then this isn't what you're going to get. But if you're looking just for an interesting character study on how people deal with their lives on a daily basis, then this may be for you. And if you're interested in parachutist murders, definitely for you. So that was my review of Satin Island, and yeah, let me know down below if you've read it or if you're going to read it, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.